The 21st century is the age of modern existence and also stress. Irrespective of gender, caste, community, nationality, or religion, we are also all afflicted by stress. And that is why talking to stress busters becomes imperative. With us in our studios is Dr. K. Agarwal, recipient of 4 national awards, including the Padma Shri, president of the Heart Care Foundation of India, and Honorary Secretary General, IMA. Welcome, Dr. KK.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Agarwal, could you please tell us about how to manage stress and why do you think stress exists in our current lifestyle?
You need to understand the meaning of stress. Stress is the reaction of the mind and the body to the interpretation of a known situation. That means there has to be a situation. Situation has to be known. If the situation is not known, there is no stress. And there has to be an interpretation of that situation. The interpretation can be positive or negative. So a stress may be, for example, any change is a stress. You have lost your money has come back. That stress is a good stress. And there has to be a reaction of the body and the mind. Therefore, to manage stress, either I change the situation, sometimes it is not possible, or I change my interpretation, which is the most important thing, which is counseling, or I live a conscious lifestyle, the parasympathetic lifestyle or the yogic lifestyle, so that the stress doesn't bother and affect my body and the mind.
You use this word parasympathetic. Could you please tell us, our listeners, about the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic?
When you talk about our body, nervous system, most of the people talk about brain and the nerves. That is a simple nervous system. But we also have an autonomic nervous system, which has 2 systems, parasympathetic and sympathetic. Sympathetic nervous system is required whenever there is a wear and tear for flight and fight reaction. Say a snake comes, you need to either run away or you need to kill. For that, body needs to react. Body needs more adrenaline. You need to fly. Your blood pressure needs to rise. Your pulse needs to rise. You need to be prepared to either fight or flight. That is a sympathetic system, but that is an emergency system. That's not a routine system. You don't want to be all the time agitated or aggressive. The parasympathetic system is the healing system. When you are conscious, when you are restful, alert, when you are in a relaxed mood, that is a parasympathetic mode. In parasympathetic mode, the body heals. For the healing, parasympathetic mode is required. And that is being clinically characterized by slower and deeper breathing. Whenever you sleep, your breathing becomes less. You go to parasympathetic mode, the body heals, the body regenerates. And apart from that, your blood pressure goes down, your skin resistance increases. All these things are parasympathetic mode. Therefore, our aim should be that we need sympathetic, but we need to be in a chronic state of parasympathetic mode of body posture, body reactions. And that shift from sympathetic to parasympathetic is called mind-body medicine, is also called Vedic medicines. Naturopath call them as yogic lifestyles.
So, coming back to stress, could you please tell us about the impact of stress on, say, the heart or, say, diabetes?
Say, I'll tell you stress in a different way. The thoughts comes in our mind. The thoughts are analyzed by the intellect. And then it gets personalized by the ego. My thoughts, my car, my pen, my this. And then there is an action, memory and desire. On that thought, there is an action. Action leads to memory, memory leads to desire. Most of the time, if this is a cycle, for every action there is a desire and you do action again, it leads to habits and personality. That becomes your personality. Now, if your desires are not fulfilled, what will happen? So, non-fulfillment of desires is what stress is. Either it will lead to anger. Anger will be in, anger will be out. If anger is out, it leads to aggressive behavior. Aggressive behavior, blood pressure rises, pulse rises, immunity reduces. You can precipitate a heart attack, brain hemorrhage, all these things. And if you have suppression of anger in, it will over a period of time lead to despondency, depression. It will lead to atherosclerosis, heart failure, all these conditions will asthma, inflammatory bowel disease. So it all depends upon your fulfillment of desires. If your desires are fulfilled, personality, not fulfilled, acute aggressive behavior, or chronically you end up into depression. So all these things are linked with stress.
Sir, our sedentary lifestyles, when mixed, when fused with junk food, lots of stress, tension, and pollution, it leads to certain conditions in age groups where those conditions were never found.
See, it's a very simple way of finding out is those animals who live in accordance with the laws of nature, the wild animals, don't get lifestyle disorders. Now, what are these lifestyle disorders? Blood pressure, diabetes, hypertension, insomnia, acidity, cancers, brain hemorrhage. These are all lifestyle disorders. You're not supposed to get. These are not seen in the wild animal, but they are seen in a lion in a zoo. They are seen in a pet dog. They are also seen rabbits in the laboratory. Therefore, you need to learn the principles of nature. To learn the principles of nature, there is a simple way of living, and that is called formula of 80. Keep your lower blood pressure, bad cholesterol, pulse rate, abdominal circumference, heart rate all below lower than 80. For that, eat less, not more than 80 grams of food at a time, not more than 80 ml of liquid at a time. Carbohydrate fast should be once in a week and then 80 days in a year if you do a carb fast, and all religions do the fasting for that purposes. Do not live in an atmosphere of more than 80 decibel of noise pollution, more than 80 PM 2.5, more than 80 PM 10, which is the air pollution with that. Do 80 cycles of slower and deeper breathing practice every day. Do not take alcohol if you take less than 80 ml. Do not take smoking. If you indulge into smoking, you will end up into 80,000 rupees bypass surgery. So everything is related to 80. So if you follow that, walk every day for 80 minutes, brisk walk 80 minutes a week, minimum 80 steps in a minute. So everywhere the word 80 comes. If you are listening to this program and if you like this formula of 80, spread it to 80 people. So everywhere the word 80 comes, and that's basically is which talks about the lifestyle.
So could you also talk a little bit about the specifics of alternative medicine, about how we can, without pumping our bodies full of chemicals, how we can combat all these maladies which are afflicting populaces by and large?
See, our body is made up of 5 different elements. The element which is seen is earth. Any imbalance of those 5 elements is naturopathy, like water therapy, sun therapy, air therapy. These 5 elements in my body, balancing them is again nature cure. These make 3 functions in my body: movement, metabolism and structure. Ayurveda call them as Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Balancing these 3 is Ayurvedic herbs, the natural Ayurvedic herbs. These 3 make 7 dhatus: Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Medha, Majha, Asti, Shukra. Balancing these 7 dhatus with Ayurvedic herbs is Ayurveda. These 7 dhatus in my body, they make organs, tissues, receptors. Any drug which is visible or a matter, if used for opposite action, is modern medicine. Same action is homeopathy. Now this matter, when converted into non-matter in the form of an energy, is homeopathy. And when I convert this into a potential, that means beyond the energy, and use it for the science, that's yoga. So all these sciences are working at a different level. Modern medicine is useful for acute emergencies. It is useful for chronic diseases. It is used for surgical conditions. So all these conditions. But when we talk about prevention basically we need to talk about yoga, we need to talk about meditation, we need to talk about slower and deeper breathing, so-called parasympathetic lifestyle. We need to talk about prevention by way of herbs, which comes from nature cure and which also comes from the Ayurvedic system of medicine. When it comes to a disease, you have a choice between homeopathy, Ayurveda and modern system of medicine, where we need to have a new medicine altogether, which can talk about in which conditions we can give what and at what level they can be combined. So therefore, when I want to have a prevention, I need to take the help of a naturopath and Ayurvedic physician to help them together to come out with a completely dincharya for a person for prevention. Unfortunately, in our modern system of medicine, we do have parasympathetic lifestyle, but we don't teach them the way yoga and pranayam is being taught to naturopaths.
So yoga comes from the Sanskrit word yuj, which means to unite, to combine. What does yoga actually combine?
It combines the body and the mind. So our body is made up of mind, body and soul. So there is a physical body made up of 5 elements. Then we have manas, which is mind, intellect and ego. And then we have soul or our consciousness. If I want to be in touch with my consciousness, I have to traverse through the mind, intellect and ego. If my mind is disturbed, if ego is disturbing me, if my intellect is not being used for the purpose for which intellect is there, then I will not be able to be in touch with my consciousness. So when you are connecting yourself with your consciousness, that's what yoga is. Yoga unites me with my consciousness, with my soul. It's like a computer. When you are sitting on a computer, you put the internet, so you require a bandwidth. So you say, my internet is very fast. I'm being able to get all the information I want. So faster your internet is, faster you will be connecting to your internet in the computer. Similarly, in my consciousness, where all the information is lying, If I want to connect to my consciousness, I need to follow a parasympathetic lifestyle so that my sympathetic state of mind is in a undisturbed state of mind.
So, maybe you can tell us about the comparative study of, say, Ayurveda, Siddha, Sova Rigpa, Unani. I mean, is there a specific thread, a specific sutra that binds all these systems of alternative medicine together?
All alternative systems of medicine are basically scientific. I just explained that they work at a different level. All of them. One system of medicine uses matter, one uses non-matter. The science which deals with non-matter will be nanotherapy in allopathy, will be tincture homeopathy in homeopathy, and which will be bhasm therapy in Ayurveda, Unani and Siddha. So they will be on one side. And in non-matter, yoga will also come, meditation will also come. When I use a matter for a therapy, the matter can be a chemical or a plant. If I use a plant with alcohol base, it becomes tincture homeopathy. If I use a natural plant and if I triturate it, which is a ghotna bolte hain, it becomes an Ayurvedic herb. And when I convert that matter and take out the main ingredient which are working, that is called modern system of medicines. So they all can be combined into two systems of medicine, matter and non-matter. Modern medicine basically deals with matter as a science, but not non-matter as a science.
So could you tell us about yoga, about how somebody who really wants to know about yoga but doesn't know how to do yoga, what is a good way to begin doing yoga so that the mind, matter and consciousness aligns in peace and harmony?
See, basically the best way is taught was in Yoga Sutras of Patanjali as the 8 limbs of yoga. One is Yam and Niyam. Yam and Niyams are do's and don'ts of your life, which are basically in every religion there are do's and don'ts. So you follow your respective religion's do's and don'ts. The third thing comes is posture. That is called asan in Yogasan. And it is called parasympathetic posture. In parasympathetic posture, you're supposed to sit straight and with your spine straight. That is a regular posture. If you are all the time sitting with bending down, you will end up into bone problems. And in that state, you practice slower and deeper breathing. Whenever you get a time, slower and deeper breathing. Easiest way to calculate is 4 to 5 breaths per minute. My way of teaching is just practice ma. Watch for 15 seconds. So 12 to 15 seconds, speak the word ma, which is a nasal consonant, and that shifts you. So if you practice breathing with 3 to 4 per minute whenever you get time, and then pratyahar is whenever you are sitting, withdraw all your senses, concentrate on your breathing. Instead of concentrating on the voice, on the sound, on the objects, on the persons, concentrate on the breathing. And when you are concentrating on the breathing shifts. Sometimes it becomes slow, sometimes it becomes fast, sometimes it becomes irregular. Come back to your breathing, and while you are concentrating on your breathing, the mind diverts. Sometimes you get expectations, sometimes you get egoistic thoughts, sometimes you get aggressive thoughts. Whenever you get a thought, come back to the breathing. So that process of going back and forth through the breathing, suddenly you will find that you are lost into a samadhi. So this is a practice if you do 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening. Everybody should be able to do. It has nothing to do with religion, simply breath awareness or live in the present. And the last thing is, if you want to do further slowly, whenever you are sitting, observe the nature. Observe who is sitting, what is his color of the shirt, which phone he is using. If you concentrate on the present, and that's what yoga is.
Thank you, Dr. K.K. Agarwal. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for coming to our studios.
Thank you.